What is good, y'all? This is the Further Beyond podcast featuring Pan. What's good, Pan?
What's up?
All right, bro. We're going to go ahead and discuss our two theories. And actually, we're going to introduce a new segment at the very end of this. So, last week, Pan did his theory, I did my theory, but then we ended it off after that. This time, after both of our segments, we're going to go ahead and try to focus on it's either going to be a really, really goofball story that we've seen in like true crime or something, or it's going to be very interesting. But I mean, we're both going to keep that end segment kind of short, but we got a pretty interesting one today. We're going to be discussing we found out some stuff about the Zodiac killer that may or may not be true, but we'll get further into that at the end of the podcast. But, man, what theory are you going to do today, bro?
Yeah, it's called the Yuba County 5. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I've never heard of that.
I I saw it like a couple months ago and added it to the iceberg we are using to find all these theories, but this was way after we finished this tier, like set of theories. So most
Interesting.
people I think didn't even really look at the past theories. Should be something new and fresh. Yeah.
Wait, so you added it in after we already finished the theory or whatever, the tier?
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about this then. Sounds interesting, though.
Let's start off with not the Yuba County 5. Like, this is the theory or the mystery, rather, I want to talk about. Let's talk about the Schones Incident that is, like, partially connected. It's about a guy called Joseph Schones who, on February 24th, 78, drove through California, like a national forest called Plumas National Forest. And that was, like, on this day there was hella snow. It was already dark at 5:30 p.m.
What the
and
hell?
he and he while driving through this forest, like he was driving home, he got stuck. Yeah, like typical like stories, all alone in the dark, all alone in his car, gets stuck in the snow.
What do you even do in
uh,
that situation? You suck in the snow, the darkness. Like, what do you do after that?
yeah, no help, like close by. The next like town, village, whatever is miles away. He would have to like go on foot for a couple of miles. I don't know how long this is this way, this
Damn.
like, road, whatever. But yeah, after some time, he suddenly saw two car headlights, like these lights at the front. So two cars approached him, and he heard men, women, and children talking, and the silhouettes like approaching him slowly.
What the hell? Wait,
And
so he saw a car and silhouettes?
yeah, like the cars were there, like the lights suddenly appeared, like were on the opposite side. We don't know how far away they were because it was already dark. He couldn't like make up the exact distance, but he was seeing lights from afar coming closer and closer, and he was hearing people, like children and adults, talking.
Oh,
Uh,
hell no.
but they were like talking normally, right? Like typical conversations, nothing he thought was scary or whatever. So he got out the car and called for help. Like, not a crazy way of calling for help, like that would make people scared. It was like, according to him, uh, he tried to sound as innocent as possible, though as soon as he called for help, the lights suddenly turned off and the voices completely disappeared. Like, no trace of any
What?
living being, completely gone. And now he's stuck in the dark once again, goes inside his car, and is waiting once again because no help, like, whatsoever. After some time, again, he sees two lights, but this time it's flashlight lights, two people walking through the woods. Once again, he gets out the car, calls for help, and the lights suddenly turn off. No one even
What the
attempts
fuck?
to do anything. Like, I mean, I guess if I were in this situation and I heard someone screaming or shouting, "Help! Help! I need my car is stuck," whatever. I don't know if I would necessarily go there and see for myself what's happening. Right? It's in the complete darkness in a forest. I don't think I would approach this a guy shouting for help, but I
I
mean,
don't.
some would.
I don't think I would help. I definitely wouldn't go over there. But that's two instances where like they all turned the lights off and then went completely silent and just never were heard of again. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's what I thought also. And then the dude also said that he tried pushing the car himself out the snow, but also got a heart attack while doing
Wait,
so.
what the? God, he has the worst luck ever.
Yeah, worst timing of all time at the worst place, like completely alone. Though luckily this was like a light heart attack, if that makes sense. So he didn't lose consciousness or whatever. He just endured the pain, stayed there until his gas completely ran out, and he was like his car wasn't working at all. So he decided to risk it all, leave the car, and go like on foot as far as he could, trying to find a place. And on his way, like while walking, he found an abandoned car, like that was, according to him, around the place where he heard the voices in like this general direction. He found an abandoned
Interesting.
car, but didn't think much of it. Right? It's just an abandoned car. Not no time to really think about it. This he has to get out the woods, and this all like trying to get out took him until the next early morning. He luckily got help, like the medicine and all. He was able to survive and get out the forest. But this Yuba County 5 story starts right here, like because this car that he saw, that car had 5 men in there, like a completely different group, and these 5 men became a part of one of the biggest unexplained mysteries in history, like in US history probably. And this mystery was
Interesting.
called Yuba County 5. These 5 men, I will be talking about their story next, but this is like a story about 5 men that completely disappeared for a long while and then were found dead at the end.
What the
So
fuck?
in this forest. So it all happens there, and this random dude that got stuck on the same day as their car got stuck there apparently saw this car. So he would be the last person probably to maybe have seen them, but according to him, he didn't. He only saw a completely different group.
Wait, so the group that he found, were they alive or dead?
No, I mean the group he found or he was seeing were those people with the lights, right? Those were the
Oh,
only like living people he saw. When he decided to like go himself, like on foot, trying to find help, no one was there apart from this completely abandoned car somewhere in the woods.
interesting. Well, I'm definitely
So
immersed already.
yeah, and I was thinking, why do I even need to like to know this side, like this shonen, what this Shones, right, incident, because it technically does not have a lot to do with Yuba County 5, but this guy is like one of the main witnesses people are using to find out, or have used to find out what actually happened with these 5 men. But let's get to these people to actually understand this whole story. On the same day, a little bit earlier, right? 5 men, longtime friends, were on their way to meet up for a baseball game. Yeah, baseball game, I think. And they were playing themselves, like they were players. A guy named Jack Madruga picked them up, and
So they play
they were
baseball as
all.
well.
Yeah, exactly. They play for the Yuba City Gateway program, which is a rehabilitation center that helps people with mild intellectual disabilities and mental issues. So they all 5 of them have like a certain intellectual disabilities, except for one guy called Gary Mathias, right?
Okay.
That has no intellectual disability, but a mental illness instead, schizophrenia in this case. Though according to his family and all, he didn't have any like issues with this mental illness in a long while. So these 5 men, these 5 friends, on their way to this game. Uh, I don't have the time exactly, but uh, the game ended around 10 p.m. at night. And it's also important to note that this guy I was talking about, Jack Madruga, like the driver,
Yeah.
is he and Gary Mathias, the one without the intellectual disability, only those two had driver licenses. This gets important later on, just
So out of
so you
all
remember
five,
this
only
part.
those two had the driver's license.
Exactly.
All right.
So at 10 p.m., their team won. Celebration was in need, of course, and they went to a close by gas station to get like a couple celebration snacks. And the clerk there, the person working there, would be the last person actually to see these five men alive.
Damn.
Probably. They got the snacks and left. Though, and once again, this happens usually all the time in these stories, instead of just driving along the highway, like straight road home, they took a detour for some reason. They drove home, and then before getting home, like they were practically there, they turned to a completely different road and drove into this national forest that
Why? Why?
that Schones guy was in.
Why is there
Yeah,
always some type of like, oh, let's take a shortcut this time, and then they never come back alive? Like, don't take shortcuts. Take the regular way. That's so stupid.
yeah, right. For some reason, I mean, okay, without this, there wouldn't be like crazy mystery stories. But yeah, for some reason, there's always like a situation where, for some reason, a person just decides to go somewhere else or drive somewhere else instead of their actual destination, and then they die. Then they die. So
That's so
yeah,
wild.
just stay to your just stay to your goal. Use your GPS if you have one. Don't do any. Don't go to a random abandoned whatever forest at night, like midnight or whatever.
Please, like even even if it's like really a shortcut, like even if it's like, oh, we'll cut this down by like an hour and get there in about like 20 minutes. I don't care. Like I'm not going through an abandoned, creepy forest and then chancing, like even risking dying. That's just too scary.
It wasn't even a shortcut. It was just a like completely different side of. They had to just drive like in a straight road, the highway. And what do? They go to a completely different place, miles away from their actual destination, into
Oh
this
my
forest.
god.
Their car also gets stuck in this forest, and since they didn't return until the next morning, their families called police. They started a search, but because of way too like heavy snow, bad weather all around, they had to stop the search and put it on hold. And only 4 months later, it would be continued. Uh,
Damn.
this was when randomly a group of bikers like drove into this forest and found a couple abandoned service trailers, like those boxes, like these big iron boxes where you can live in.
Yeah, like the big storage containers. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Though, as I said, abandoned, no one was there, but there was this weird smell. So they broke a window and got inside of one of these trailers and found a dead body.
Ah shit.
And yeah, of course, otherwise I wouldn't be talking about the story. This dead body belonged to one of the missing men, and the body was lying on a bed with a blanket all over him, so no one would see who he is. So they pulled off the blanket, and yeah, confirmed it was one of them. Though I forgot the name of the guy, but I think it was like one of the random friends, like not the one with the driver's license.
So there's
Uh,
still four more missing at this point.
for now, but I'm gonna get to it.
All
What
right.
we found one corpse. Now, weird thing, this corpse had a beard, so that means that at least this guy had to have lived in this trailer for a couple months until he died. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any hair growth.
Yeah, that's true. Damn.
Yeah, and the police went in, looked at the corpse, like analyzed it, and deduced that he died of starvation and the cold, like the low temperatures. Though, which is actually, and now this is the weird part, at this trailer complex, like there were a couple, there was enough food, like canned food, to survive for all 5 men for months. They had enough food. Also, they had enough heat sources, according to police. Like these trailers had it all. They could have lived there without problem, but for some reason they starved, even
What
though
the
they had enough
fuck?
food. And the food was like they barely ate anything. There were a couple cans open, but that's it. They just stopped for some reason. But this was the point. They found the first corpse and they continued the search. On the very next day, actually, two more corpses were found 5 miles south. Like that's quite far away, but
Yeah, 5 miles
also,
is huge. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, on foot, right? They didn't have any a car, so they just walked for some reason 5 miles south. One of the corpses was Madruga. This was the driver. The car keys in his pocket, and it looked like Madruga had been dragged for a short distance, like his corpse or whatever,
Whoa.
and at the end eaten by animals, partially. And the other guy, called Sterling, uh, his remains scattered around the area, nothing but bones. So probably also eaten by animals at this point.
Okay, so
And
drag. They for sure know it was the animals that were dragging him, right?
probably had to
Okay.
be.
All right, bet.
And, yeah, and 2 days later, Jack Hewitt was also found dead. Like this is one of the friends. Now we have four of the 5 found dead. So the police deduced that because of their clothes, like some of the clothes from Jack Madruga had, and so on. So they exchanged clothes. That's why they think that they all lived in this trailer for a while. But yeah, only one corpse in the trailer, 5 miles south, and one at a completely different like place, also in this area. But this last guy, Gary Mathias, has never been found to this day. We don't know
What?
where his body is, if he's alive or not. So this is like the end of the story. And but there are, of course, as the people were looking at the story, a couple of questions that arise. And you actually asked this earlier, like why did they go there? Did they even have a reason to really enter this forest? And even if they got stuck, these are 5 men. Also, I forgot to mention 2 of them served in the military. So they are probably strong
So
enough
easily able
or
to
know
protect
how to
themselves.
survive. Yeah. And they just decided to not turn back. They got stuck, and instead of turning back using the road they used to get there, they go inside the forest, onto the mountain. So why did they enter this forest in the first place?
What the fuck?
Uh, the mother of Madruga, this is the driver, assumes that someone or something, like she talks about weird forces, like supernatural beings, something had to force them, made them go up the mountain. But of course, this is all just speculation. The very weird thing that people looked at or people pointed out was that the car they drove in was in immaculate condition. Like considering the heavy storm, the snow, 5 guys were within the car, so it was heavy, right? There should have been damage at the bottom of the car, but there wasn't any. It's like the person driving knew this place, this terrain, and how to drive. And it was midnight, full of snow, weird forest, dirty road. The driver never was like this is the first time Madruga was driving to this place. So why didn't the car have any kind of damage or whatever?
And that means there was no reason for them to ever get out the car. Like
Yes.
they just willingly just stopped somewhere and then just chose to go into the forest.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Also important to note, the driver's window was rolled up. That's relevant because the mother of the driver says that this is very uncharacteristic of him. He never rolls up the window. And I mean, okay, it's cold weather. There isn't really a reason to roll down the window.
Wait, the window was
So,
rolled down?
sorry, did I say up?
Yeah,
Yeah, it
up.
was rolled. Yeah, sorry, it was rolled down. The mother says it's very uncharacteristic of him. He never rolls down the window, especially not if there's snow all around them, completely cold. No reason to to roll down the window.
That
And
is weird.
yeah, and that's where people started speculating that the one person they didn't find, Gary Mathias, was the one driving, because he also had a driver's license. Also, uh, coincidentally, Gary Mathias had a friend that also lived a couple miles away in this area. So it's assumed that he might know this place like a bit. He drove around there for maybe once or twice, whatever, because a friend lives there. So yeah, people assumed he was at this friend's house at some point. He should know this place. That's why people think that he might have driven this car that night and yeah, in the end killed these four people.
Oh, they think
Though
he
yeah,
killed them.
yeah, because he's the only one that wasn't found in the end. He's just missing. We don't know if he's even alive at this point.
Okay, so
But
with
also his
the
family, we don't
bodies
know.
and stuff, were there any? Was did it look like it was murder, or did they just like froze?
I mean, there were like from what I read, it didn't look like they were murdered. But if we like believe this theory that Gary Mathias in quote unquote killed these his friends, it didn't need to be like an active kill. He could have just driven there, left them there because he knew they couldn't survive, and when the four of them died, he just left. Otherwise, I mean, okay, I think after all these years, we should have at least found something that belonged to him, a piece of cloth or like anything.
Yeah, or if he did survive, he at least would have came out and said, "I'm alive," and told the whole story of what happened.
Yeah, so this is pretty unclear, though, as I said in the beginning, his family and other friends said that he didn't have any like issues mentally in a long time. He had, according to his father, I believe, like, weird outbreaks like in his past where he started like shouting or being
Ah,
aggressive, but this didn't happen for a couple years at that point. So he stopped um, after a while, maybe because of the treatment at the rehabilitation center there. I don't know, but people said that he became more and more like peaceful with himself. Mental issues like weren't all too heavy on him. But yeah, people like speculated that he might have killed them. So going back to this Joseph Schones, the guy that when I started talking about this story got stuck in the snow and saw this abandoned car of the five friends.
yeah.
Yeah, he, as I said, claimed that he heard a group of men, women, and children. So people also thought, who were those people? Because it's weird for those people even to be there at this time, like in at night in a snowy forest, completely cold. Why were they there? And when they heard like someone calling for help, they just disappeared. So that was suspicious to people. Uh, because even though okay, I get them, I would also probably not help a person at night in a random forest. But they went completely silent. So this is
Yeah, they
a
just
bit out of the
disappeared.
ordinary, I think. Yeah, and since this happened like twice to Joseph Jones, uh, yeah, people started speculating maybe it was a like group of people that led them there because this was a larger group, like men, women, children. Maybe it was people that led these men there. Maybe those men were those five people, and then there were other people with them. We don't know. Uh, but we know that this testimony of Joseph Jones over the years, as he told the same story, like more and more, the story changed after a while. because either he started forgetting, like because of he was old already at that time, or maybe he was just misremembering stuff for whatever reason. Uh, his story changed like little details. Not he wasn't actively changing them, but it's like if you tell an old story like that happened to you like 30 years ago, you probably won't remember everything as well as you did like 20 years ago. So people say his witness account isn't as credible uh, as people make it out to be. So this is actually the end of the story. We don't know exactly what happened. There is like two bigger like, theories on this. It's either that Gary Mathias killed these four people, not actively, but he led them there and let them die. Though, of course, we don't know why he would have done this.
Yeah.
And on the other side, it's those random people there that just for some reason appear in a forest and go completely silent and invisible almost since it's night time when they hear another person, like another witness in this forest that could potentially like ruin their plans or whatever. So it's just a weird story. Still to this day, no conclusive answer. We don't know. People have been looking around online, talking to the families and whatever, but they also have no idea. And the mother of the original driver, Madruga, says there are supernatural forces at play here, since this is like a mountain or whatever, and people start to believe whatever they want at this point. So I don't know. This is basically where the story ends.
Well, I think. Alright, so let's see. We have a group of 5 men inside a car. I for sure think that Gary was the one driving it, for sure. Because they said with the other driver, he had none of the tendencies of the same thing. Like, he would never roll the window down. Also, why would he have stopped in the location they were in? It seems really weird for the other drivers to have been the driver, but I really think Gary did it. And they also say Gary hadn't had his tendencies in like a while. I guess he had cured himself, but like, aren't there like triggers for some people? Like maybe they see a certain thing. Like you said, he also knew the location because like his friend lived there. Like maybe something in that location like triggered him, and his tendencies came back in that one moment. It just seems really weird for him to just went crazy and snapped if he was the one that did it.
Yeah, it's schizophrenia. So for certain people, it makes them go like aggressive, from what I've heard. But I'm of course no professional. I don't know the exact things that happen to you if you have this mental illness. But I think there's also like situations where a person just starts to not think straight, even though the person does not need to be aggressive, whatever. They just don't think rationally anymore. And since those other four also have like intellectual disabilities, it might not even be completely far off to just assume, like the third theory that just came to my mind, that they just really had an unfortunate accident, like incident. They were stuck in the snow. They went out into the forest because they didn't think about turning back. Maybe this just didn't come to mind at this point. And when they were at the trailer, they started living there, but one person may have died of starvation or whatever. I don't know. Maybe they didn't find enough food. Maybe the person was ill. And then there was a corpse in their trailer, so they had to leave because of the smell. And while leaving, they were all alone in the forest. They died there. So this might be something that has happened without all the murder stuff. Maybe it was just all an unfortunate accident.
Well, that would explain why the corpse was found like covered up. Maybe he did die, and they're like, okay, well, let's just cover his body, whenever he is found, because that's usually what people do. Like when people get injured or die, like they just cover them up with the blanket until they can get the police to come. So yeah. I mean, it honestly sounds believable like that. I mean, maybe this was just all a misfortunate thing. Maybe the guy with schizophrenia felt like he would be blamed for all this, so he just disappeared. Maybe he found his friend and was like, hey, I have to leave and can never come back. because I'm gonna get blamed for 4 murders basically. Which I mean, it wouldn't be too far fetched to think that somebody with like a mental incapability like would just instantly think that he would get in trouble for it. So especially with schizophrenia. So I mean, I don't know much about schizophrenia, but I know even if I was in this situation, I feel like I'd probably not get lost forever like he did, but I'd definitely get away from the situation until something like came up from it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that makes sense. I think, yeah, I think I would do similar things in this situation. All the shock you would probably have at this point. All your 4 friends died. So what do you do at this point? Though it's also sad to think about that since the one person in this trailer had a beard, that means like a not just a like smaller one, a thicker beard. So that means they lived there for a couple months. If the police started the search earlier, they might have found them still being alive.
oh yeah, because they
But
prolonged the search because of the weather.
yeah, 4 months,
Damn, that's
way
plenty
too
of
long.
time. That would have been plenty of time to find him. And at least we know what the fuck happened with this story. That's
Yeah.
crazy. See, it's just the
So
stuff like the way the police act in these situations. That's why people blame everything on them because they just act weird.
yeah, I mean, I can understand them if they say like bad weather. Oh, we can't search today. We can't search this week. All right, right. A week is already too long in my opinion, but I can at least like understand them if they say we can't continue the search this week. But 4 months,
Yeah, I mean, even I
no
would
way
expect
any
the
one of them
family.
is alive.
I would expect the family to even say like, "Bro, 4 months? Like, are you crazy?"
Yeah, the family went to search themselves, and the one of the like fathers, a father of one of the guys, uh, I think he found like clothes of his son there, and I don't know exactly if he like the father himself found his son dead there or the police, but after he found the clothes, the son was also like his corpse was found in this area. So it would also be crazy if the father found his dead son while
That'd be
looking, and the
wild.
police didn't do shit at this point.
Nah, I would never trust the police again. I mean, like you said,
No,
there wasn't one day out of the 4 months they could have been like, okay, the weather's lightened up, let's go look for them. Like they had to wait
yeah,
4 months. Like imagine like somebody goes lost in October and they can't look for them until like January. Like that don't
hmm
even sound right. That's crazy.
yeah, and the search really just only really continued because a random group of bikers found the first corpse in a trailer park. Like, would the police not look around? I don't think a trailer park is all that like hidden away.
Yeah, why wouldn't that be the first place they looked?
So it's just all around weird. Of course, if we talk about the police in that way, I think there's probably people saying the police are the ones that killed these 5 men because they didn't do jack shit. So,
Yeah.
whatever. This is just like a faraway theory. I don't know if this is something you should really focus on. The main ones are either Gary Mathias wanted to get rid of him, or it was this weird group of people that Joseph Schones found there that disappeared when he called for help, or it was all a sad, like unfortunate incident of like 5 men going driving home, maybe a couple of them drunk, I don't know, from a baseball game that they actually won, like good day and all, and they just drive home and yeah, die
That's
after a
crazy.
while.
Yeah, if anything, I definitely place more stake into the last theory that this is all just a unfortunate happening of events. Really, I mean, it all kind of lines up that way. I don't think. I mean, there was nothing really in Gary's past that lined up with him like doing this, right? You said he liked all of his friends. I'm pretty sure,
hmm
and they just won the game. I mean, while you were talking, I was thinking maybe like he had a bad day and like they lost the game and it was just like all piling up on him. But I mean, now it sounds like there was no reason for anything bad to really happen. So I'm guessing it was just all this stuff just happened by accident and the police, lousy police work, of course.
Yeah, but I still do think that the driver that drove the car home was Gary Mathias in this situation. So they changed drivers, I think. Had to.
Yeah, they for
Because
sure
of the
changed drivers.
condition of the car. Yeah, looked like the person knew this area, and since the friend lived close by, maybe they decided to, like, before going home, to drive to their friend, like, through
Ah,
this forest or whatever, maybe, and then they got stuck there because yeah, it's already dark, 1978, so I don't think there was GPS at this point. I
no, there was
think.
nothing. You just had to use the wind at that point. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that does make a lot of sense. They would stop, like, hey, I'm gonna stop by my friend's house. But if the car was in perfect condition, I wonder why he stopped right there. I mean, unless for
Yeah, it's
some reason
weird.
it just like faltered, and then maybe it was just like a small problem that could have just been fixed easily, like the battery
Yeah,
died for a quick second or something.
yeah. In this situation, even if we, like, not count these intellectual disabilities that people were talking about, uh, even if you don't have any disabilities at this point, you might not think all rationally in this situation and just do something that, like, is objectively not a good decision, and, like, go into the forest. Some people would probably do that. I don't know. I'm with you on this. I think it's just an unfortunate, like, accident incident, and they, like, didn't get home because they didn't know what to do, starved to death because of the cold and all. One person died in the trailer, and then they left the trailer and died on like in the forest while trying to escape. Had to be. And
Yeah,
Gary, I
that
don't
that
know.
definitely sounds realistic. Yeah, Gary, that's the only thing I can't really guess what happened is what happened to Gary. I mean, and the only thing that I can really maybe say is that his body is still out there and he was just never found. Like maybe he just got farther away than the others did and he just got to a place that nobody's ever looked before.
Yeah, could probably be, especially since the police, like, looking for them was complete dog water. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't,
absolutely.
yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if they just, like, gave up and acted like they couldn't find, like, oh, we can't find Gary. You didn't even look for him.
Exactly. I mean, if they prolonged 4 months, they probably found the four bodies.
They just didn't
Um,
give a shit.
yeah, and then they probably just said, "Hey, the weather's getting bad again. We probably need to wait a little bit," and then just waited a year or some shit and never went back out there.
God damn. Yeah.
Nah, Gary's. If I was Gary's family, like if this is all an accident and Gary didn't do anything and his body's still out there, I'd be pissed at the police. Like that's
Hmm.
just crazy to think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck. That
Yeah.
was that
But
was a fire ass
that's,
fucking story. That shit was
yeah.
fire.
Yeah. That's the story of the Yuba County Five.
Damn. All right. Well, I will put pictures and everything. If you guys want to do your own research on it, maybe speculate your own thing in the comment section. But I really think it was an accident, and I don't think Gary did anything. I did kind of speculate that maybe it was schizophrenia and he saw something or something triggered him to the point where he like reactivated his anger. But no, I think it was all just a big accident, and the police just suck at their job, so they never found Gary's body ever. But I mean, we,
Yeah.
we see stuff like that all the time. I mean, bodies are just like if they're lost in a place where you literally can't be found, then it's just how it is. Unfortunately, maybe he got farther and fell inside like a ravine type shit or something. Maybe.
All we can do is just speculate at this point. Sadly, like with most mysteries and theories.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, condolences to the families. They lost four, I'm sure, beautiful human souls. Gary, if anything happened to him, if he's a killer, then yeah, fuck him. But if he actually genuinely got lost, then yeah, of course, condolences to him and never having that peace of mind of having his body found or anything. But yeah, that theory was fucking fire. I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna follow that up. But all right, we had the Yuba. You said the Yuba County Five.
Yes.
All right, we have the Yuba County Five, and now we have the Men in Black. So I'm gonna start out by saying that I'm gonna have two stories. I found so many stories of people like, skeptical people saying, "Oh, I saw the Men in Black," and it all correlates basically between these two. Like the others were they just sounded completely unbelievable. And honestly, one of these stories in here is just wait till we get to it, but that shit is just wild. Like if he's telling the truth, then I don't see how he continued on life after this shit. But It starts off with a man named Harold Dahl. Hopefully I'm saying his last name right, but this all starts on June 27, 1947. So if you guys don't know what Men in Black is, it's nothing like the Will Smith shit that you saw in the movies. It's nothing like that. The Men in Black are supposed to be like a mysterious group of people that always show up anytime there's any type of like alien sighting. So like if you were to see like a UFO or maybe a group of aliens and then get away from them and then like live to tell the story, then the Men in Black would show up at your door and basically be like, hey, what you just saw? No, you didn't. And then kind of just leave. So it's like a group of people that protect the mystery shrouded around aliens, basically. So, I guess this started off the shore of Washington. This guy was on a conservation mission. If you guys don't know what a conservation mission is, it's basically like somebody whose job is to conserve water or figure out ways to conserve water and land. So, it was him, it was his son, and it was their pet dog. They were all on a boat, just in the ocean at nighttime, of course, just kind of just flowing with the waves, figuring out how to conserve stuff. And they looked up into the sky and saw 6 donut-shaped UFO like type objects up in the sky, just kind of circling around each other. Obviously, that's very weird in itself. I mean, we see a lot of like, I guess maybe you can try to blame it on like a shooting star or the satellite or literally anything, but I doubt people can blame it on that. If you see 6 donut-shaped objects in the sky. As they were looking up there, one of the donut-shaped things fell out of the sky and ended up scattering debris everywhere. The debris ended up hitting the sun, ended up killing the dog, and Harold witnessed all of this basically. So Harold is going to be the main character basically for this story right here. His son, unfortunately, only got away with like minor scrapes on his arm, so he lived to tell the tale. But the dog did die, so condolences for that. During all this, Harold ended up getting a lot of pictures of everything inside the sky. The sun's bruises, the sun's cuts. I think he took a picture of the dog. And of course, he had to take pictures of the boat as well, because the boat didn't belong to him. It belonged to his boss. That's why he was out here like doing all this research and stuff. So Harold, he went back to his boss and was like, look, you're probably not going to believe this, but you know, I saw 6 UFOs in the sky. One of them fell down and broke the ship apart. There's some pretty bad damage, but I was still able to get to land. You know, anybody that hears something like that obviously isn't gonna fucking believe it, especially if it's like coming from an employee or something. I probably just, you know, you definitely crashed that shit and then try to blame it on UFO, but I'd probably say some shit like that. Nobody's gonna believe that when they first hear it. The boss's name was Fred Chrisman. So the boss, not believing that that even relatively happened, he went out to the spot. And he actually saw the debris and the spacecraft debris that were there. And he saw like where the boat got hit. I think Harold showed him all the pictures of the dog and stuff like that. So Fred is now a tried and true believer of UFOs and that everything that he saw was true. So all this stuff having taken place, of course, news got out. He told his boss. The boss told his friends. This eventually got out. It turned into a huge story like around that town. And then it ended up getting to like the newspaper or whatever. So basically, Harold was at his house one day, you know, chilling there. I think he was watching TV, and he heard 3 knocks at his door. He got up, went to go see who it was, and it was a mysterious man inside a black suit, wearing glasses. I'm gonna try my best to describe what he saw exactly. So the version of a Men in Black that he saw was a very, very pale man. A very pale man, like unhumanly pale. He's wearing a black suit, black tie, a fedora-like black hat, black sunglasses, and he was inside, so that's already kind of weird in itself, sunglasses indoors. The figure basically told him, like, look, follow me, we're gonna go out to my car, we're gonna go to this diner, and we're gonna talk. So they went to this diner, had some breakfast, and the figure was basically saying, like, He was telling Harold an exact recollection of everything that had happened that night, even though he wasn't there. So he was like, Harold, I know you're on this boat. I know you saw 6 spaceships. I know one of them fell down into your ship. I know one of them killed your dog. I know you told your boss. I know they told everybody. He knew exactly everything that had happened, even though he wasn't there. Even the stuff that Harold didn't tell anybody, like about his dog getting hit and stuff like that. He knew about all that stuff.
The fuck?
Yeah, I mean, he was like down to like, I think it said down to like where the scars were on his son's arm. It was just like a perfect recollection of everything that he saw. So of course that's weird because he wasn't there, and how the fuck would he even know all that? So, you know, Harold was asking him questions, and the man basically said, "What I have said is proof to you that I know a great deal more about this experience of yours than you will ever want to believe." That's word for word what he said, even after Harold was asking him, like, how the fuck do you even know all that stuff? The man then said, "Never speak about any of this again or something bad will happen to you." And then he just walked out of the diner and he never saw them again. Just a very, very weird story. I mean, that one definitely sounds believable, if anything. As I was reading it, it was kind of just crazy, just hearing how like he was just so stern. But this guy, the guy he talked to, the Men in Black guy, he was, even though he was saying all this stuff, he was still very calm in his words. Like, it was like a certain like stern type of like, you know, just don't talk about it and nothing bad will happen to you. And then he walked out of the diner and he never saw him again. So it wasn't like aggressive. It wasn't like he was trying to like press him or anything. It was just kind of like a stern, don't do it. Like maybe like a parent would tell like a small child or something, don't do that again.
Yeah. So all professional. I'm thinking about this right now. Why did Harold even decide to follow the guy to the diner? Like, if a guy appears in front of your door saying, "Yeah, come here, follow me," like, would you actually follow the guy?
Hell no. But the thing is, like, maybe out of fear. If you want to get deeper into it, Men in Black apparently have some sort of like psychokinetic thing, like you have to do what they say type shit. But yeah, I mean, if that's if you want to get deep into the conversation of Men in Black. But yeah, they apparently have like not to the extent of the movie where like they press a button and make you forget your memories and stuff like that, but like basically like if you look into their eyes, they have like total control over you. So if they say do something, then you have to do it basically. So that was the more believable story that I found. This next one is just some it's some absolute wild shit. So continuing off from that story, the Men in Black person said, "Don't speak of this again, and of course nothing bad will happen to you." Now years later, the government ended up calling this a hoax. Like they said, "Hey, Harold is lying. None of that ever happened. He never saw these UFOs. Nothing." And of course there was outrage over it. Well, like of course the government's gonna deny it. Why would they ever admit that they like house Men in Black people and stuff like that? Why would they admit that? So the government was like, "Okay, we're gonna send out 2 army soldiers in their planes, and like you guys are gonna be able to see everything. We'll take pictures just to prove that that nothing happened." Okay. So they sent out these army soldiers to take pictures of the full area, you know, because I guess they can prove that there was never a crash or something there. So I don't know what the fuck they were trying to prove, but they sent 2 army soldiers out there. As soon as the army soldiers got over that area, their planes mysteriously caught on fire and it killed both the soldiers.
Of course it did. What?
Yeah, like they didn't explain how it happened. The soldiers just died, and the government was like, well,
sucks.
It sucks for them. But that's not even the craziest part. So that happened. This is leading into the next story. So the story, of course, it intrigued a lot of people. One of the person, it basically said that this wasn't the story that even got people interested in UFOs. So like people were hearing about this story and kind of were like still in speculation, like, okay, well, I guess we can just count that as a coincidence that any of this didn't happen, and we'll just believe in the government at this point. This next story is what got people to like become the diehard Men in Black UFO alien conspiracists that we know today. So this is all about a man named Albert Bundy. Albert Bender actually. This takes place in 1953, so this is about 6 years after the first incident. Now this next one, Albert Bender was a very, very popular UFO enthusiast and writer, and he actually founded an organization called the International Flying Saucer Bureau. So I'm guessing they study like everything that they see and like speculate as alien spaceships kind of thing. So like they would have the 6 donut shaped things that Harold had seen. If anybody else sees anything, they'll take a picture of it and it'll all go to this Bureau of Investigation basically.
Yeah.
he had gotten so popular that everybody was starting to take his word for true. So like he'd say he'd see something, he'd post pictures on, I guess, whatever they used to post pictures on back then. I guess he was a part of like some type of news group. So he would publish these pictures like publicly. And he was at home one night and he said he was allegedly, or I guess allegedly, he was visited by 3 men in black suits.
Oh no.
So this is already like a way different vibe than the last guy, because there was only one guy last time and he was calm with them. He was just saying, calmly come with me. We're gonna go to the diner, talk. I'll get you some breakfast, whatever. Bender was visited by 3 guys. He immediately said that everything, the entire energy in the room changed. Like basically, like how people whenever they say they experience ghosts or some shit, it gets very chilly inside the room, kind of like cold.
Yeah, the complete vibe like changed to...
Yeah. So these men come inside his house and they start talking to him. Bender described them as having very, very, very threatening looks on their face. And having fedoras that like covered half of their eyes, right? So like they were wearing their hats like the other guy was, but the hat was like covering half their face, so he could only see their mouth basically. They barged into his house, started making demands that he never speak on UFOs again. They said, shut your organization down, never speak of UFOs again, all these pictures, get rid of them, all that shit. They were just very aggressive, way different than the guy last time. And he also described that while having aggressive looks on their face, they were in the same outfit as last time, but allegedly, this is the crazy part, they were all floating a foot off the ground.
Wait, what? Now this just suddenly became supernatural.
Yeah, like he was saying as soon as he opened the door, he had seen 3 men and they were all floating a foot off the ground.
They just flew into his
Yeah,
house.
basically they just like it just like glided into his room.
No, I'm just imagining it.
Which is like, of course we're laughing because it sounds funny, and like I don't know how much stake this story has, but he was apparently a very trusted like man when it came to UFO stuff. So maybe like his work was getting light and nobody's believing him, and then he came out with this story, and then everybody in the entire world believed him. But he said they floated inside his room, started making demands. He couldn't see their eyes though. He made it very, very adamant that he could not see their eyes. But Bender did say the more that they kept making threats, one of them eventually said, okay, bet, basically. So all 3 of them grabbed their hats and lifted their hats up to where you could finally see their eyes. Bender claimed that as soon as they lifted their hats, it showed glowing eyes that pierced the entire room like light bulbs, basically. So just imagine like 3 people floating with just like pure light coming out of their eye holes, basically. He said the light seemed to have burned into his soul, and it just left him there just completely like, astonished at what he's seeing right now, because there is no possible way this would even be possible. Like it was so extraterrestrial like that he couldn't even come out with words. I mean, I think I've heard stuff like this before where like you'll see something that's just like there's no way it's possible, it'll just leave you standing there like what just happened type shit. So yeah, they stared at him with these piercing lights. They say never do this again, never release another story again, stop this. And then they all 3 just left out of his room, him just sitting there. But the craziest part about all this is like I wouldn't really hold too much stake in this story, of course, because it just sounds like a work of fiction basically.
Yeah.
But they said ever since this story came out from Bender, all of his like writings, everything that he released after that point was just scribbles, and everything that he released just became unreadable to where he couldn't even be like trusted anymore, basically. I just imagine like the enchantment table language, and that was just on all these papers for the rest of his life. He never released another work of art, a work of paper that was even like eligible.
Fuck. So I assume these Men in Black like broke his mind or whatever with this like with her glowing eyes, supernatural aura or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, he's just his mind just like after. If anybody wants to believe this story, after that happened, his mind kind of just snapped into two. Like it was just he was a perfectly functioning human being. These guys showed them the light in their eyes, and then he was just a shell of a human being after that. Like he was always just like rambling and mumbling and writing weird stuff in journals. It was just like they broke him. Like he was never the same after that for the rest of his life. And this is a I think he like graduated from Oxford. This is a very trusted like man in that field. I mean, he founded an entire organization bureau. So that like you have to have at least some type of genius to be able to do
Yeah.
stuff like that, even if it's just dealing with UFOs and stuff. So after that he just of course he was never able to publish again. Nobody ever listened to him again. But conspiracy theorists went crazy after hearing that. They heard his story. They heard Harold's story. More and more people just kept coming out over and over again. Like we've seen these Men in Black too. There's actually a picture. I'll put it in the screen right now. There's actually a picture of it's like in this hotel lobby. I don't know if you've seen it before. You've probably seen it because it's on every fucking conspiracy video ever on YouTube. But
This
it's
one
like two
completely.
two Men in Black walking into like a hotel lobby kind of. You ever seen that picture?
I think so.
Yeah, it's like they use
Yeah.
it a lot. And like I see it any type of conspiracy video ever. It'll be like 10 shocking theories that are true or something, and it'll show that picture of them walking into the lobby. So that also has to deal with the story. Um, it was just after this moment, people just start coming out of the woodworks. Like, yeah, we've seen UFOs, and also we have been visited by these Men in Black shortly after, and they're unhuman like. I mean, there's been descriptions of them, like of course with the pale skin, but they'll say like once they see their eyes, it's basically like the black eyed children. Like there's nothing there. Like there's eyes there, but they'll be so like as black as night that it just like what are you type shit. Um, some people have speculated that the Men in Black aren't even government at all. They're saying that maybe these are like the aliens that we're seeing, and this is their representation of like what they think a human looks like. So they transform into this. They visit the person, say don't speak about us, and they leave, transform back into aliens, and then they're never seen again. It's just a lot of weird stuff like formulating the Men in Black. Honestly, like it's just a lot of weird speculations, um, endless theories. Like I could honestly talk about Men in Black theories for like days because so many people have so many theories about what they are and the stories that they've had, and of course this connects to aliens and stuff. So there's endless theories about aliens that we've seen from CDD. So it's just a very deep theory, man. This shit was it gets scary. It gets scary because like what if this is true?
But something doesn't add up to me, right? With the second story, the guy was called Bender, right? You said. Um, how do we even know about this story? You said that Bender, after getting visited by those three men, stopped like writing comprehensively. Like
Oh,
he
okay.
didn't
So
understand him anymore.
think of it like a slow burn. So basically, like as soon as it happened, he was functioning like it's directly after it happened, but then like slowly over like the next like 2 weeks, he just
Oh,
became crazy.
okay. So he instantly told people about this, and then slowly became like this empty husk, if you want to call him that.
Yeah, basically, like it was just like a very quick slow burn. Like he had his mind. Just like think of it like as soon as it happens to you, he maybe got into contact with his people. Like, oh, you're never gonna believe what happened, and then spouted all this, and then
Yeah.
shortly after, like maybe 2 weeks to a month later, he just lost his mind. Whether he lost his mind because they looked at him like that, or like he was just so deep into what had happened that he no longer cared about anything but just them, basically.
And still, what surprises me about both stories, like Harold and Bender, is that they decided to come out and tell people about what happened to them. Like Harold had this one guy visit him and tell him to never talk about what had happened to anyone ever again. but he just decided to do it anyway. Like was he not
Interesting.
scared? If this, I'm imagining it right now, right? If I were in this situation, like I opened the door, a completely pale man in black stands before me and forces me to go somewhere to talk about uh, my alien sightings and all, and he tells me that uh, I should not talk about what he tells me, what I saw, all this alien stuff. I'm not telling anyone. I'm taking this secret to my grave. I won't take any chances. Like, I don't know if he know this first story. The Man in Black knew so much about what had happened to Harold, all the details, the scars and all. That shows me he knows me probably better than I do. So I'm not taking any chances. But these two people just decided, like, if we believe this story, these stories, the first one being, of course, more plausible. But even then, they just decided to, like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just tell people anyway. Which is noble, I guess. If they like wanted to risk their lives and just said, "Yeah, I want the truth out there. I don't care if I die." I mean, that's noble, I guess. But still, surprised me that both of them talked.
Well, the only thing I can think of like why the hell they would even contemplate telling anybody
Yeah.
is that maybe this is all their life was. Like maybe they were just so deep in this whole UFO thing, which it'd make more sense for Bender because Harold was only like a conservation worker. Like he wasn't even in like UFOs and stuff like that. But maybe
Yeah, he
Bender was
saw one
just so
randomly.
deep into this, just like that's all he had. Like there was no way he couldn't tell anybody about it.
Hmm.
I mean, he created an entire bureau for stuff like this, so he gets visited by these alien-like figures, tell him not to speak on it, that he's gonna be like, well, I mean, I can't not talk about it because this is my life. This is all my life is surrounding.
Hmm.
But Harold, I
Yeah.
don't. Harold might just be a fucking idiot. I don't know why he came out and said it. I have no idea. Hey, there's no way. There's no way I get visited like three men. The hell no. But even just one. I mean,
Yeah.
even though Harold like never even saw his eyes, never saw underneath his hat or anything, like it's still even just one guy is just like, okay, say less. I'm never telling anybody. It's just I don't know what the fuck Harold was thinking, but Bender it makes more sense.
Yeah, probably. If it's something that you would call like your life, it's all you have, and someone appears or people appear and say, "Yeah, the one thing you have, don't do that anymore." Yeah, then your life is like empty. You don't know what to do. So that makes sense at least. For Harold, yes, as you said, not really, except for maybe if he like didn't care at all. I don't even know. It's and then I also like wonder these stories, all these Men in Black sightings and all this coming after these two stories you told me happened. Uh, how many of them are true? How many of them are false? Like there are just people like trolling copycats and all, just trying
True,
to
true.
like appear as if they had this sighting. And even then, all these people that tell you online they saw the Men in Black, they had them visit them, all of them decided to tell people. So this is even okay.
So okay, so let's not say that ever, because there may have been some people that kept it a secret, but yeah, we have heard a lot of stories of people come out and saying stuff for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. It's just it's the first one sounds very believable. The
Yes.
second one, he probably was getting tired of doing this shit, so he just needed a way out of it and was just like, yeah, I saw people and they said don't do this again, so I'm just gonna act crazy anytime I write anything. So
Yeah.
he probably, if anything, that's probably what he did. He just didn't want to be a part of it anymore. He just said he saw three figures. He definitely had heard Harold's story because he ended up like claiming that the same thing happened to Harold happened to me type shit. So I mean he was a UFO enthusiast, so he definitely had heard Harold's story about it or whatever. But it's just Men in Black, of course, like if they are real, I'm never gonna figure that shit out. Fuck, I hope I don't ever. It's like that's just one of those theories that I'm touching with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, this is one of those you want to be kept in the dark
Yeah,
for the
exactly.
most part.
Because
Uh,
anybody that finds out if they're real or not doesn't sound like their life goes too good after that.
uh, did the movies take inspiration from those incidents,
All
like
right,
the Men in Black movies?
so the Men in Black movies, actually, the first one, or the storyline for it, or the general basis of it, got its inspiration from the first story.
Ah, interesting.
So with Harold and everything, that story got to, like, I'm sure, like, Warner Bros. Of course, the movie didn't come out until like 50 years later, but they still
Yeah,
heard that story and was like, "Oh, that sounds interesting." And people speculate that the government made them make that movie to, like, kind of show the Men in Black in a lighter tone, because of course it has like Will Smith and it's supposed to be a comedy movie, and the aliens are very like far fetched and comedic and stuff like that. So
yeah. That's if you want to go deep into this, because this is like 50 years later. I don't think many people really cared about Men in Black. This movie would have brought up the topic more.
yeah, well, you got to
So
think,
more
after
people
the
would
Bender
even.
incident, people start going crazy with these conspiracies.
But this was years ago, right? I don't think people
True.
were still going crazy in the 21st century.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
true. But like I said, there was a lot of people coming out after these two saying that they had seen something. But that actually kind of leads us into our next topic, or our next kind of jokey topic. So with all the people coming out, you said there might have been some people that were lying and, saying, "Oh, I also saw this too." Well, the same thing happens in a lot of cases across the world. With the whole Zodiac thing, there were also a lot of people saying that, "Oh yeah, the Zodiac's my grandpa. The Zodiac is, my teacher. I saw him kill somebody." There's just a lot of people that were just blaming this on just random people. So that kind of leads into, the silly topic that we had planned for today, is that, if you guys have heard of the recent uncovering that you guys may have seen blowing up on Twitter. I think it was Wednesday. They were like, "We finally found out who the Zodiac killer is." I read that headline and was like, "Bet, that's so fire," but I never looked deeper into it, which I don't think most people did. Honestly, they saw that and probably was just kind of like, "Oh hell yeah, he's finally caught." The
yeah, I thought it
dude,
was an official thing.
yeah, but
Like
me too.
it said like investigation team or whatever. So I thought like hell yeah. I even told my mom, but she just said yeah, I don't believe this.
so, okay, so this quote unquote investigation team came out and said, "We have finally identified the Zodiac. It is a man named Gary Post." The man's picture looked very creepy. Like it held a lot of stake from what they decided to like give us. And honestly, with like evidence wise. So I looked at like a few tweets. I looked at like a little bit of the article and was like, hell yeah. I even went and talked about it on stream because I was like so sure that they had finally caught the Zodiac killer. Well, I think it was like 2 days ago. A few days ago, I was looking a little deeper into it, and I saw a video saying that they didn't find jack shit, basically. Which ended up, it got some steam because a lot of people are like just kind of like counting this as like a false claim now, because like they don't even believe the group anymore at this point. So I think Pan has some information about it, but I got one or two facts about this thing. But from what I saw, this investigation team isn't even like an investigation team at all. It's like a whole bunch of like true crime quote unquote experts. I don't even know how you can be a true crime expert. I think there's one retired detective on the team. It's just a whole bunch of nobodies basically.
Yeah.
They decided to look deeper into the case, and from what I saw, I don't know if there was anything else, but from what I saw, the information and the evidence that they got from this is that there was a killing. One of the killings that Zodiac had allegedly done. They had found a watch on the scene that had been scattered in paint, basically. So the detectives found it, and they were like, okay, so look, the Zodiac, this is obviously his watch. If you guys find anybody a painter, of course, go ahead and look deeper into them. Well, the investigators saw that and was like, whoa, this man Gary Post is old enough to have been the Zodiac killer, and he was also a painter. So maybe we need to start looking into this guy. So So that was one of the evidences they had. There was another one of like, I'll put all the pictures and stuff on the screen because it's hard to explain. But apparently Gary Post was like very, very much prominent figure on social media like Facebook and stuff like that. He had posted this picture that looked like one of the hoods that Zodiac had worn, quote unquote, looked like, because to me it just looked like a fucking splash of water on some pavement. Honestly, like when I show this picture on here, you guys will see what I'm talking about, because it'd be a stretch to say that looked exactly like the Zodiac hood. I mean, of course the shape kind of, I guess looks like it, but it looks like a splash of water really. But these guys didn't know jack shit about anything, bro. They just came out. I'm pretty sure they figured they can get a little bit of fame off of this. That's all I saw, because that's the only evidence that I saw that they even came close to having. It was just funny to look at that these people are just completely wrong in their doing. But I think Pan had some more information on the topic than I did, because I didn't find anything about what the fuck they found.
It's not even real information. I mean, okay, it's kind of annoying that we all believe this. Like, it was a professional team working on it, but then it was all just like a huge joke, intentional or not. What I saw was, like, online, people were talking about Gary Post's internet history and all. I don't know how much of this is actually real or not. But one thing that looked real to me, because many people were talking about this, was a movie review for The Hunt for Ted Bundy. And Gary Post gave 1 star out of 10 and said awful, would give less than 1 star if I could. Ted Bundy is wildly overrated.
Oh my god.
So
he would give movie reviews on Facebook or whatever? Or whatever it was. I don't know if it was Facebook, because that Facebook wasn't until later, but
this is just weird. Like, then people were posting screenshots of him liking Lady Gaga and all, but I think this is probably...
Wait. You telling me the Zodiac Killer was a Lady Gaga fan?
Could be. I mean, okay, look, if the Zodiac Killer is still alive, he uses the internet, so it's... I mean, okay, the Zodiac Killer could probably play Minecraft right now. I don't even know. It's just all...
That is so crazy. What made these people come out and even give this evidence, knowing they didn't have anything?
I would just say probably some of it is fake. I would say, but the first thing I ever saw, like, of those internet history leaks, was this Ted Bundy movie review, which is kind of funny, since the 1 out of 10 stars Ted Bundy calling him overrated.
maybe he was the killer. Like, maybe he was just like, man, why is Ted Bundy such a much famous killer than I am, man? And he probably gave the movie 1 star out of like jealousy or some shit.
Is Ted Bundy more famous? I think so, right? Like, nowadays.
Okay, so Ted Bundy was... The Zodiac Killer is more famous for his time.
Yes.
But I think more people nowadays would know Ted Bundy's name because he was like a woman killer. So it was it was a big deal back then that he was killing only like college-age high school women.
Yeah. So if we assume that the Zodiac Killer is still alive, and if it's actually this Gary Post guy, I hope... since we now know this is probably not real, this is just a photo of a random guy, like a poor guy being called a serial killer right now.
Well, I mean, he died in 2018, so luckily his name wasn't ruined.
Okay, yeah.
But it's just crazy to think that, like, imagine if this guy's into Zodiac Killer, right? Imagine the real Zodiac Killer just seeing all the people they keep blaming, and he's just like, these idiots.
Laughing his ass. I mean, he could be listening to our podcast right now, right?
He probably is.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Okay, no, wait, no shout out. He killed people. Almost forgot. Sorry.
That's crazy, but if Gary Post isn't the killer, I can just imagine the real Zodiac just like, bro, like, I literally wrote my name in a different language. Like, these guys have been doing all this useless shit, and I gave you my name 25,000 years ago.
this is low key what happened with the I-70 killer, right? Like recently,
Yeah,
people came out and said, yeah, he's still alive and still killing, or he started killing again, even though the police said, yeah, we found his corpse, we found the guy,
that's
and,
that's the
and
thing
even on
is because
CDD, yeah,
during the whole CDD we did that. That was like the maybe
one
fourth
of the
episode
first
of tier one.
episodes,
Oh, the
yeah,
first?
no,
Oh
one
yeah,
of the
because we
first
did it.
episodes.
Yeah, because we did it with Eliza Lamb. That was the first episode.
Oh, right, yeah, you're right.
All right,
Actually,
so
first episode.
we were studying it, and I think there was a guy that they thought was the I-70 killer because remember they found a whole bunch of bodies inside of his yard and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
he wasn't using the same gun, or there was only like males, and I think it was a gay guy that they found, right? I'm
yeah,
pretty sure.
something along these lines.
Yeah, yeah. So it wasn't him, but the police came out and said they found somebody after that. Because I remember us being like, oh, okay, so they found him. Okay, bet this guy's off the streets. But then somebody comments, some random person goes to the comment section on that video. I've never seen them comment before in my life. I don't even know who the fuck that was, and they've never commented on anything since. She was just kind of like, oh, he's doing it again. I'm actually kind of scared. And I was like, wait, what? So I went and looked it up, and the I-70 killer is very much back to his old ways. I think he's killed
Yeah.
like 3 people in the past 2 years, like one being like a couple months ago.
Mhm.
So he's back. The police definitely didn't find shit, and it was probably him that commented on that video, honestly, because nobody he probably typed in I-70 killer and was like, whoa,
I
a
even
new
remember like telling you on stream that, yeah, what if the I-70 killer is watching the stream right now? What if he actually was?
It
He's
probably
still alive.
was. Like, it's just so weird. Like that comment has never, because I like to pay attention to who comments on my stuff because I
Yeah.
like to see reoccurring people. She has never commented on there before that or after that. Like, it's just she came out of nowhere just to say that. I even said like, I said something along the lines of like, what, like, what's the proof? Like, send me a link or something. And she
Yeah,
never
commented as
even
well.
responded back to that. So it probably was the I-70 killer. He probably was like, whoa, a video that came out this year about me? Let me watch it. And this
I
is
have
all
to
as I have to tell him I'm back. Maybe he'll make another one.
And we probably will, right? At some point.
I have
if
to. I
there's
have to
more
revisit
evidence.
it. If he keeps going, I mean, we during this
He
thing we're
keeps
revisiting.
going.
I mean, like, he's done like
Please
3
don't keep
killings, so
going.
I'm gonna have to bring him up again because we revisit stuff all the time, so it wouldn't be
Yeah.
like far fetched. But he commented on my thing for sure. There's no way that was a regular person because who the fuck would know about that?
Yeah, just out of nowhere, right? Okay, it could be like a copycat, like a person trying to imitate the killer, or maybe like accidentally. There's like a second I-70 killer now, but who knows? I think he's still alive. I said this like months ago that this dude they found for sure isn't the I-70 killer.
he,
One
probably,
hundred percent.
he probably hasn't done a damn thing in his life. That's the funny part. Like, they probably just arrested some man just for loitering, and they're like, "Oh, that's him." And
Yeah,
they
and
just
now
pinned everything on him.
yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
three new killings. Like, of course, after the first and maybe even second killing, the police wouldn't know if this is like a serial killer case or that's just 2 random murders. But after the third murder, of course, more things align and all. So now they probably assume, yeah, the I-70 killer could be back.
Yeah, after this, I'm for sure gonna look and see if there's any new leads. If he's killed like 3 people or something in the past like month that I haven't looked him up, then yeah, I'm for sure doing a revisit because that's just wild.
We
But
have to.
it's just crazy how this case that like I've never even heard of the I-70 killer, and I do true crime stuff. I listen to that stuff all the time. So it's like a small case that of course only people in like the St. Louis area would know about. And just this random person just comes out of nowhere and tells me that they're back. So I have no fucking idea. That's just funny to me, honestly. But
Yeah. We learned about the I-70 killer in 2021, and in the same year,
oh
he
my
suddenly
God.
reappears after many years.
Like, it's been like 40 years. There's no way. Like, why is the most random killer just all of a sudden coming back the year we start CDG. That's just so wild
this
to
dude
me.
has to be like around 60 years old right now. Ain't no way.
Exactly. Like, if he comes out and it's like, yeah, I just saw a streamer just disrespecting me on YouTube, so I had to prove I still had it. I'm calling this a simulation at that point. There's no fucking way.
Fuck. Jazz was right all along.
Exactly. All right, y'all. This has been the Further Beyond podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Like we said, we tried to go a little bit lighter on the theories this time because last week's was pretty hardcore. Men in Black theory definitely was laughable at some points, but all right, y'all. I guess I don't know if I want to go deeper, darker next time, but expect something a little bit on my side that it might be definitely darker than Men in Black, but I don't know if I want to go too dark. But Pan, maybe. I don't know. I'm definitely going a little bit darker than Men in Black for sure. But we're getting the fuck up out of here. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. We will see you guys next week. I think we decided to upload this every Wednesday. I'm pretty sure, right?
Wednesday or Tuesday, I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Tuesday. Yeah, we'll be uploading this every Tuesday. So we will see you guys next Tuesday. Have an amazing rest of your day. Pan, you got any final words?
And peace out, y'all.
Yeah. Peace out, y'all. We'll see y'all next stream. See y'all.